Elizabeth Berkley was a rising star in the early 1990s. She was ready to make the leap to the big screen after several years on television. Showgirls was a fantastic opportunity. The script was written by one of Hollywood's most successful screenwriters, and the director was a list. The last time Paul Verhoeven and Joe Eszterhas worked together, they made a hit. But things went differently this time. Instead of becoming an A-list actress, Berkley's film career flamed out. Today we will try to find out why this is so. Berkley began dancing at an early age. She auditioned for the lead role in the film adaptation of Annie when she was 10 years old. Although she did not get the part, she began traveling to New York to train. She had already appeared in several ballets and stage musicals by 1983. As a teenager, she began modeling. Until 1994, Elizabeth appeared mostly on television in various TV shows and series. Berkley made her movie debut in the film Molly and Gina. 1995 was supposed to be the year Berkley became a movie star. But first, she starred up as a Jeremy London and Justin Whalen in the nature movie, White Wolves: The Second Legend of the Wild. And then came Showgirls. Berkley played Nomi Malone, a girl who dreams of being a Vegas showgirl. Gina Gershon played Crystal Connors, Berkley's chief rival for topless stardom. Showgirls started with Joe Eszterhas. At the time, Eszterhas was the highest-paid screenwriter in Hollywood. His previous collaboration with director Paul Verhoeven was a huge hit that made Sharon Stone an international star. One day while they were having lunch in Beverly Hills, Verhoeven told Eszterhas that he had always loved big musicals and wanted to make one. Eszterhas suggested the Vegas setting. He scribbled down the idea on a napkin and received an advance of $2 million to write the script. Eszterhas received an additional $1.7 million when the movie went into production. Verhoeven was confident enough in Showgirls' success that he deferred 70% of his $6 million directing fees in exchange for complete creative control and the ability to release the movie with an NC-17 rating. Verhoeven would receive the rest of his fee if the movie was a hit, which it was not. Berkley was paid a paltry $100,000 for starring in the movie, which had a budget of around $45 million. Obviously, Berkley was working for peanuts because she hoped Showgirls would make her a star. But it should be noted that she was working up to 16 hours a day in high heels. Verhoeven originally passed on the project as he didn't care for Eszterhas' original script. Instead, he hoped to make a crusade movie with Arnold, with whom he had made Total Recall. But the financing fell through when the studio ran out of money on the pirate movie, Cutthroat Island. By the time Carolco pulled the plug on Crusade, it had already sunk $10 million into the movie. They had also paid nearly $4 million for Eszterhas' Showgirls script. Verhoeven claims that he decided to make Showgirls to save Carolco from bankruptcy. Verhoeven's intent was to make Showgirls a social satire about how women are exploited. Ironically, the box office failure of Showgirls and Cutthroat Island contributed to the bankruptcy of Carolco. Several actresses were considered for the two lead roles. The filmmakers originally wanted to cast Madonna and Drew Barrymore. Also at the casting were Charlize Theron, Angelina Jolie, Pamela Anderson, and Denise Richards were among the other actresses considered to play Nomi. Sharon Stone and Sean Young were both considered for Gershon's role. Reportedly, Berkley and Gershon did not get along while filming, and Verhoeven did his best to encourage the rivalry. Conventional wisdom has it that Showgirls flopped at the box office. That the movie did flop, it actually had a pretty successful opening weekend. It opened in the 2 spot behind Seven, which was also released that week. It grossed just over $8 million that weekend, which isn't terrific for a movie that cost $45 million. But when you consider the NC-17 rating, it's actually pretty impressive. Lots of theaters wouldn't carry Showgirls because it was rated NC-17. And NC-17 results in fewer screens and no tickets being sold to minors. The critics blasted Showgirls and its box office tumbled in subsequent weeks. It ended up grossing less than half of its production costs during its domestic run. Showgirls developed a reputation for being one of the worst movies ever made. The Golden Raspberries cemented that perception by nominating Showgirls in a record 13 categories. Showgirls won a then record-breaking 7 awards. That record was tied by Battlefield Earth, which also won 7 awards 5 years later in 2000. Finally, the record for most wins was broken in 2008 by I Know Who Killed Me, which took home 8 trophies. But Showgirls' record for most nominations still stands. Showgirls won for Worst Picture, Worst Director, and Worst Screenplay. Berkley won Worst Actress and Worst New Star. It went down in flames, taking with it the Hollywood hopes and dreams of its leading lady. But then something unexpected happened. Showgirls performed really well on video. Although the movie only grossed $20 million in theaters, it has grossed over $100 million on video and continues to add to that total today. Once Showgirls became one of MGM's top 20 best-selling movies on home video, they took notice. The studio re-released Showgirls for midnight screenings, and the movie took on a second life as a cult movie. It has become a Rocky Horror Picture Show-style event. Gradually, the movie has been re-evaluated by critics and defended by filmmakers including Quentin Tarantino and Jim Jarmusch. Originally, Verhoeven and Esterhaus expected to make a sequel to Showgirls. The movie ends with a Los Angeles freeway sign. This was intended as a tease for the sequel in which Berkley's character would go to Hollywood. But the movie's poor performance at the box office prevented that sequel from ever being made. It was Berkley's chance to shed her kiddie TV image and become a movie star. When that didn't pan out, Berkley found herself in the middle of a major backlash. Worse than a child actor, she had become a laughingstock. You couldn't cast her in a leading role if you wanted to. For nearly 2 decades, Berkley lived with the stain of Showgirls. Although she would talk about the movie's effect on her career, she rarely ever mentioned the movie by name. When she appeared on Dancing with the Stars, she said that her experiences with Showgirls put her off dancing for many years. But in 2015, Berkley appeared at a screening of the movie and finally seemed to come to terms with her place in cult cinema. In 1996, Berkley bounced back with a supporting role in the comedy The First Wives Club. Goldie Hawn, Diane Keaton, and Bette Midler starred as 3 divorced women who seek revenge on their ex-husbands, all of whom left them for younger women. The First Wives Club has a very crowded cast of characters. For Berkley, it was a chance to be seen on the screen with legitimate actresses. It was a chance to be seen as a legitimate actress herself in a movie that didn't require her to be naked. Despite mixed reviews, The First Wives Club turned out to be a surprise hit at the box office. It opened in first place ahead of the action movie, Last Man Standing. With a budget of $26 million, it grossed over $181 million and became the 11th highest grossing film of the year. Berkley was desperately trying to put Showgirls behind her. In 1997, Berkley appeared in the direct-to-video western, A Time to Revenge. Or at least she appeared in the movie's trailer. Berkley played his other daughter who got cut from the movie. Even though Berkley does not appear in the actual movie, she did receive top billing on the trailer. She probably didn't want to be in a movie. In the late 90s, Berkley appeared in the third-rate films Last Call, Random Encounter, Taxman, Tail Lights Fade. These films almost nobody watched, and all of them either failed at the box office or went straight to video. Toward the end of his career, Berkley had a small role in Oliver Stone's football drama, Any Given Sunday. She played a high-priced call girl. It was basically a cameo that required nudity, but it was a chance to appear in a big movie with a top crew. In 2000, Berkley was back on TV. In 2001, Berkley did something that not every actress gets to do. She appeared in The Curse of the Jade Scorpion in a Woody Allen movie. The Curse of the Jade Scorpion is generally considered to be one of Allen's lesser films. Unfortunately, it is also his most expensive with a budget of $33 million. Allen later confessed that it was one of his least favorite of his own movies, and that he felt like he let down the rest of the cast by casting himself in the lead role. Allen has been known to reshoot movies when he feels like the casting isn't working, but due to the cost of the period sets, that wasn't an option this time. In 2003, Berkley starred opposite Adam Baldwin in The Control Factor. Berkley also appeared in an episode of the hit procedural CSI. 5 years later, Berkley would be cast in a recurring role on CSI spin-off, CSI Miami. All further attempts of the actress to find the right roles ended in failure. The actress appeared in episodic roles in films that were released straight to video, and then she appeared on television in various projects. Usually these projects had low ratings and, accordingly, they were quickly shut down. So, what the hell happened? Well, Showgirls obviously. If Showgirls had been even half as big as Basic Instinct, Berkley's career would have gone in a completely different direction. Showgirls had the potential to not only make her a movie star, but to completely shatter her squeaky clean child actor image. Instead, in her first major movie role, she became a national laughingstock. The movie that was supposed to open doors for her caused them to slam shut in her face. She became unhireable as a lead actress. Things were so bad that it was considered something of a coup for Berkley to land a small role in a major movie like The First Wives Club the following year. It's impressive that she has continued to work in TV and movies as long as she has, starring in one of the most notorious flops of the decade, and being named the worst actress and worst new star in your first major movie has to be hard to bounce back from.